Have you ever sat through a movie and felt this weird little itch in the back of your mind? Like, there's something you're supposed to notice. Maybe it's just the way a character glances at the camera. Or the way a prop keeps showing up, even though no one really talks about it. Or even just a single line of dialogue that feels heavier than the rest. And you think to yourself, wait a minute. Is that just me? Or is there something more going on here? Well, you're definitely not imagining things. And if you're a fan of Johnny Depp, then oh boy, you already know he's not the kind of actor who does anything by accident. Every little thing he does on screen has a reason, even if he never explains it. That's just who he is. The kind of artist who gives you just enough to make you curious, but never enough to feel like you figured him out completely. And that's why his newest movie has everyone talking. Because this time, it seems like Johnny didn't just play a role. He may have hidden a secret message. A coded little story. Something only the most observant fans would catch. Sounds crazy? Maybe. But once you see what I'm about to show you, you might never watch his films the same way again. So here's what happened. Johnny's new movie dropped recently, and at first glance, it's exactly what you'd expect from him. He's charming, a little mysterious, unpredictable in that way only he can pull off. The critics called it classic Johnny, intense, layered, a little strange. And for most people, that was that. But not for his fans. Because if you really paid attention, and plenty of fans did, you started noticing things. Little things. The kind of details that, at first, feel random, until they start adding up. The first thing people noticed was the book. In scene after scene, Johnny's character is holding or carrying this old, worn-out book. Nobody in the movie ever mentions it. He never reads from it. It's just, there. Always there. Kind of like a background detail you're not supposed to think about. But fans? They knew better. Because they recognized it immediately. Turns out, Johnny was photographed carrying that exact same book during his trial. The one the whole world was watching. You remember that, right? Everyone had their eyes on him. Every little gesture was picked apart. Every smile, every frown, every word he said. And yet, somehow, no one really paid much attention to the book he kept in his hand. Except the fans. They dug into it, and they discovered the book's title roughly translates to, "The Truth Will Out." Which, if you followed Johnny's story even a little, you know that couldn't be more fitting. And now here he is, carrying that same book on screen, in a role that has nothing to do with trials or truth, or does it? Then came the second clue. His rings. You've probably noticed that Johnny never goes anywhere without his rings. They're kind of his signature at this point. Big, chunky, shiny things on almost every finger. They've been part of his image forever. But in this movie, one ring in particular caught people's eyes. It was an old ring. A very specific one. One that matched a ring he wore years ago, decades ago, actually, during an interview where he said something fans still quote to this day. "I'll always tell my story my way." At the time, it seemed like just a cool thing for him to say. But now, seeing that same ring, shining on his finger in this movie, feels like he's reminding us of that promise. That no matter what people say about him, no matter what happens, he'll always find a way to tell his truth. Even if it's through a character. And then there was the line. Oh, the line. There's this one moment, a quiet scene. He's sitting across from another character, and he leans in just a little, his voice soft but sharp. And he says, "People only see what they're told to see." That's it. The scene moves on. No one in the movie makes a big deal about it. But Johnny looks straight into the camera for just a second too long. Just long enough to make you wonder. Just long enough to make you feel like he's not just talking to the other character, he's talking to you. And suddenly, you start thinking about all the things you've seen about him over the years. All the stories. The headlines. The court battles. The photos. All the ways people have tried to define him. And it hits you, maybe that's the whole point. Maybe he's telling us, don't just believe what you're told. Look closer. That's what fans believe, anyway. And honestly, I can see it. Because if you know Johnny, really know his work, you know he's been doing this kind of thing his whole career. Hiding little pieces of himself in his characters. Playing with perception. Blurring the line between who he really is and who he plays. He's always been like that. Always a little hard to pin down. Always more than meets the eye. And maybe that's what makes him so fascinating to watch. You can never just sit back and take him at face value. He makes you think. Makes you wonder what's really going on underneath. Makes you lean in closer. So what does all this mean? Is it proof? Did Johnny really hide a secret code in his movie? Or are we all just seeing what we want to see? Maybe a little of both. But either way, it makes for a hell of a story, doesn't it? Now, if you're as intrigued as I am, and you want to start spotting hidden messages like this yourself, here are a few tips. First, watch movies twice. I know. Who has the time, right? But seriously, the first time you watch, you're just following the plot, letting the story wash over you. The second time, that's when you start noticing the details. The props. The glances. The quiet little moments that you missed the first time around. Second, pay attention to the props. Rings, books, tattoos, paintings in the background. Those things are never random. Not in good movies. Especially when you're dealing with actors like Johnny, who care about every little detail. Those props are there for a reason. Third, listen closely to the dialogue. Sometimes you'll hear a line that just doesn't feel like it belongs. Or feels a little too meaningful to be casual. That's not an accident. That's the actor or the writer slipping something in just for you to catch. And here's a little trick that works wonders: turn on the subtitles. Seriously. You'd be amazed how much you pick up when you can actually see the words. Sometimes you catch whole sentences you didn't even hear the first time. A Hollywood coach once told me something I'll never forget. She said, actors always leave breadcrumbs of themselves in every role. You just have to know how to look for them. And she's right. That's what makes watching great actors so much fun. And Johnny? He's a master at leaving breadcrumbs. So now it's your turn. What do you think? Do you believe Johnny really hid his story in his character? Or do you think fans are just overanalyzing? And more importantly, did you catch anything I missed? Any other little clues or moments that stood out to you? Because if you did, I'd love to hear about them. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think. And if you enjoyed unraveling this mystery with me, don't stop here. I've got another video all about the wildest hidden Easter eggs in blockbuster movies, and some of them will absolutely blow your mind. Before you go, do me a little favor. If you had fun today, tap that like button. If you want more stories like this, more secrets, more mysteries, more reasons to look closer, hit subscribe and join the conversation. I'd love to have you here. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Keep your eyes open. You never know what's hiding right in front of you. And I'll see you in the next one.